Amanda Kresge is going to lead this session. So I will then turn it over to you, Amanda, if you want to introduce Swan.
Yes, I would love to introduce Swan. Swan is the Economic Development Manager for the city of Eureka. And it's been said that nobody loves Eureka more than Swan. And I think that that's definitely true. She grew up here. She spent time as a child in Old Town. And she went to high school here and college here. She went away for a while, but she couldn't resist coming back. And so she has great energy and plans for making Eureka an even more fun place to live and work. So I'd like to turn it over to Swan.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I am going to share my screen. Can you all see my presentation now? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm Swan Asbury. I'm the Economic Development Manager for the City of Eureka. And before we get started, I just really want to thank California Main Street and Main Street America for letting Eureka host this conference. It was a really big deal for us, and we're incredibly proud. Like it's been mentioned a few times, Eureka Main Street just recently became part of the city, and so we've had a big year of transition, and we got a lot of positive momentum going, and so this just kind of adds to it to be hosting, and I know you guys are probably pretty saturated with hearing about Eureka, but I do want to share some things that are working well for us, and we'll just go from there. So one of the first things I want to talk about is our position, or kind of our structure. Our Eureka Main Street program is directly out of our city manager's office, which I think is a pretty rare situation. I have noticed different cities on here. I started with the city of Eureka in 2015. I started in the planning department, and at that time we had one project manager. Half of our time was dedicated to property management, and then the other half was dedicated to economic development. And it was kind of this like cute little thing that we would sprinkle into things here and there when it was convenient. And since 2015, it's had this huge shift. It's now in the city manager's office. There's the four of us. So our team, we have Christine Tyson. She is an economic development coordinator, and she manages our visitor center. And she also handles all the special event permits for the city and the city's newsletter, and also administers our grant programs. And we have Amanda, who oversees our Main Street program. We also have Riley, kind of an odd fit. He's like our GIS guy, senior planner, and manages our cannabis program. And then our visitor center has 4 staff, and then we have 2 other temporary staff that are helping us with cruise ship and art projects. So we've gone from like a part-time position of 1 to a staff of 10, and I kind of want to talk about how we got there and how I feel like that has set us up for success going forward. Being out of the city manager's office, it raises the level of service that we can provide to our businesses, right? It's like the stakes are higher. And our assistant city manager, she's at every single one of our board meetings, and our city manager is at a lot of them. And I think it's just really changed the energy level for Main Street, and we're really excited about that. So part of how we got there is we have these 2 strategic plans. And if there is like one thing that I can say, like I feel like I could just kind of fumble my way through things. I don't, we're all doing our best. This is a tool that I have figured out that is more powerful than anything else that I can do. Having a strategic plan, it helps you advocate for staffing and budget, and it gets everyone on board with what you're trying to do. I think with economic development, it's so easy to be reactionary. It's like people have so many ideas when it comes to economic development. People are like, oh, you should do this, and oh, you should do that. And they're great ideas, but it's like you're constantly chasing squirrels or kind of getting derailed with what you're trying to do. And so having a strategic plan, it really helps like define what you're going to be working on over a couple of years, and it really gets the buy-in of all of your leadership. So like our city council was involved in these plans, our leadership team was involved in these plans, our community was involved, and so everybody is really in sync as far as what we're all working on. So these two documents are really what drives our department. We have our economic development strategic plan, and then we have our strategic arts plan. And I'm going to talk about both of those in more detail. But first, I just kind of want to explain like the shape of our department. So like I mentioned, we also oversee the Eureka Visitor Center. Christine Tyson, who's on this call, she manages our visitor center. Our visitor center is in the heart of our district. It is in the Clark Historical Museum, and it just makes such a unique first impression to visitors to Eureka. They go into this historic museum. It's a beautiful building, and we've really enjoyed managing it. We enjoy having, you know, merchandise that says "I love Eureka," and so having Christine and Amanda being paired together, having our Main Street and our Visitor Center paired together, it's just like this really powerful combination that's working really well for us. The Visitor Center has its own website. The City of Eureka has its own marketing firm that was specifically to market Eureka to visitors. And so we have this website, visiteureka.com. I'm biased. I think it's really beautiful. And then they have this awesome Instagram and Facebook accounts that really highlight Eureka, and so much of it is focused on our district. It's just like all of these different things that we're all working on is all woven together and tells this really compelling story of why you should visit Eureka and stay in Eureka and stay an extra night in Eureka and all those good things that we want that help our businesses. And then we have Eureka Main Street. So Eureka Main Street became part of the city last July. And I loved this last session. I felt like this really like set me up for this. So talking about not wanting to brag about yourself, that is like Amanda to a T. And I just wanted to give like a moment of recognition for her. She's been part of our team for the last year, and she just brings like this really calm, steady presence to our team. There's no like fuss about her. She's just like this little quiet person soldiering on, doing all the things, being the first to come, the last to leave. And I really noticed like in everything she does, she just is like, I noticed it as a mom and as a wife and as a coworker. She's just like this very loving, playful, fun person who's just very calm, and it's brought a great dynamic to our team. And, you know, yesterday when we were talking about what fuels you, what gives you more energy, my office is here at City Hall, and Christine and Amanda are down in our district in a different office. And when I'm feeling really wiped out, I go down there, and they are just both these like capable, positive people, and it just really makes me happy to be around them. So I just appreciate our team. So okay, shifting back to our strategic plan. So our economic development strategic plan, I think even the structure of it is important. So we have like an overarching goal, sub-goals, strategies, and then action items. And so we have this overarching goal to improve the quality of life for Eureka's residents, businesses and employees, and visitors through positive actions to attract, retain, and expand businesses within the city. For me, like the things of that goal that really stand out are quality of life, which is just like a theme in everything that we do. And then Eureka's residents, like our businesses are our residents, our businesses are our families, and focusing on them, it just, everything else falls into place. It's like if you take care of your residents, they promote your city to other businesses, and they promote your city to visitors, and it's just like if you start with that foundation, it's takes care of everything else. Going back to economic vitality, we have 4 sub-goals. So maintain and create high-quality jobs, build Eureka's community assets, create a diverse and resilient economy, and strengthen the city's revenue base. And then from that, it's broken down into these strategies and action items. And I wanted to bring up this specific action item. So with the strategic plan, we have planned out all of the action items that we're going to tackle over the next 5 years. And this is the list of what we're going to tackle this year. And this list goes before our Economic Development Commission every month. And I want to say, when you have a strategic plan, don't just put it on the shelf and forget about it. Having this, I bring this up to our commission every single month, and every single month we go through it as far as what's been accomplished, what's ongoing, what we haven't started yet. And it just keeps us all on track and holds us accountable. We also like to call that these are living documents. So like every year we do an annual report to City Council, and we adjust what we're going to be working on the next year. So for this year, Action 16B, consolidation of business serving agencies. Before last July, the City of Eureka gave funding to Eureka Main Street, and the City of Eureka gave funding to a different group, Humboldt Made, for the Eureka Visitors Center. And so we had this executive director of Humboldt Made, of Eureka Main Street for 25 years, Charlotte McDonald. You probably all know and love her dearly. And when she decided to retire, we felt like there was this opportunity to kind of bring these things together and really consolidate and like put all of our energy together into doing this together. And so that is how Eureka Main Street has come into the City of Eureka. One other thing I want to say about Amanda is, like, she has navigated this change phenomenally well. Like, she went from having a board of 6 or 7 to now it's up to 11. And then she also has 3 bosses at the City of Eureka, 6 city council members, and a mayor. So she went from 6 bosses to having 20 bosses. That is awful. And yet she is killing it. But it also means that we're all working on all of this together. We also have a new economic development website called eurekasready.com. This is specifically if somebody is thinking about moving to Eureka, or if someone is thinking about starting a business in Eureka or moving their business to Eureka. And again, we're really focusing on the quality of life that we have to offer here, and art. I'm going to talk about this more. We see art and culture as a tool for economic development and to really showcase our quality of life here. So, like here, like see what makes Eureka a great place to live. We have our school system and our zoo and our climate and our culture and our architecture, and we have all these things that really add up to, you know, why somebody would want to live in Eureka. And then switching kind of to art and culture. We have started our strategic plan. We started our strategic arts plan. We started planning for that in 2016. And I would say, you know, the Great Recession, I'd say Eureka was hit kind of twice as hard by that. Like, our housing market wasn't doing great, but then on top of it, our biggest export was timber. And if people aren't building houses, then, like, our biggest export isn't going anywhere. And so, like, Eureka really struggled coming out of, like, 2008, and it took a long time to come out of it. And I feel like this plan kind of came out at the same time that Eureka was kind of coming out of this, like, deep depression. And what it signified was visible change. And, like, people were so excited for this plan. It was shocking to me. I thought it was going to be like this little quiet thing that we did, and people went bananas for it. Like, we had this public meeting, and a band showed up. We didn't invite the band. The band just came. The band was so excited that we were doing a strategic arts plan, and 200 people showed up. It was like this miserable winter night, and they were so excited. We put all these different projects up on the window, and then we had little envelopes next to them. And we gave everybody Eureka bucks. And so people could go project by project and, like, vote like what they wanted to see happen in Eureka. And then we like at the end of the night counted it all up, and that's how we prioritized our project. And just that visible change around Eureka, like seeing the utility boxes getting painted and our murals going up, people are just, they really were hungry for that. They were hungry for seeing that change, and they were just so enthusiastic about it that it's really been a powerful thing happening in Eureka. And so many things have come out of this. Like, so now, like I mentioned, not having a document on the shelf, but having it be a living document. So every year we do an update to our strategic arts plan, and every year we refine it a little bit more. So like we now have refined, our mission is to use arts as a vehicle for community impact in Eureka. And our vision is through artful experiences, Eureka will be a vibrant place to live, a thriving environment for businesses, and a desirable destination to visit. And then we break it down even further. So how do we do this? We seek to understand the unique needs and interests of our community through a lens of art and culture. We strive to be a catalyst for arts and culture projects that beautify Eureka and stimulate economic development. We want to spread the word about the art scene in Eureka through outreach and marketing. And we promise to invest in our artists and makers by creating opportunities for them to shine and actually paying them for their work and creativity. And we find ways to make the arts more accessible to a wide range of residents and visitors through strategic placement and diverse opportunities. And then lastly, we take the time to track our progress and use our insights to inform how best to enhance art and culture moving forward. This is this ongoing thing that we're constantly doing. One thing that came out of this was going after our cultural district designation. Having those like strategic plans and those designations, it really does help tell your story, and it helps give like a seriousness, or it helps validate what you're doing. And so we competed for the California Cultural District. We were chosen 1 out of 14. It was a really big deal for us. We are still super proud of this honor and very excited about the funding that could potentially be coming from it. This is the picture that we used with our submission, and like this is one of my favorite Eureka pictures. This is our Carson Mansion, and then in front of it is one of our kinetic sculptures. And like this just sums up Eureka. Like we're weird, but we're also pretty great. And then another thing that came out of our strategic arts plan was the Eureka Street Art Festival. So a lady that was on our Economic Development Commission, she owns a cider company, and Leslie talked about this yesterday. After the strategic arts plan came out, she said, you know what, I'd really like to throw a mural festival. Like I have a lot of background in alcohol festivals, and I think it'd be fun to see people paint murals and have a cider. And so she and another lady, Jenna Katzos, who's a local illustrator, and we came together and we did our first annual Eureka Street Art Festival in 2018. We had 22 murals in an alley, and we've been doing it every year since. I should count up how many murals we've done over the years, but it's really all over the city, and it just like, there's so much placemaking that comes with it, and it's such not a scary thing. Like it's just paint. Like at any time, any of this can just get painted over, and I want to stress, like I think people think of murals as like this really serious thing that needs, you want to preserve it forever, and yeah, I agree. But there's also something about calling it the Street Art Festival. It's like it's open to change, and it's really just fun. And then yesterday when our mayor was talking about, childhood memories of your district, and Amanda mentioned it too, I wanted to just like take a moment and talk about one of my childhood memories. So this is Opera Alley in our district. This is like my spot in Eureka. When I talk about Eureka, I'm like, this is my spot. And that's a fun question I like to ask people, like, what's your spot in Eureka? And you always are surprised by people's responses. I asked our finance director what his favorite spot was, and he was like, immediately, he was like, oh, I was coming over Samoa Bridge and I was with my uncle and I saw the marina and I just knew I was going to live here forever. And he's like, that's my spot. So this is my spot. This is a really wonderful bar. When you come to Eureka, please come get a drink with us at the Speakeasy. When I was little, I used to live up above it with my dad when I was like 4 or 5. Over here, I had the chicken pox in this other apartment. My aunt and my cousin lived there. And I just have really fond memories of running around Old Town as a kid. I also want to point out, this is a working alley. This is a stinky alley full of dumpsters and potholes. And people don't talk about that. They talk about, oh, go to Opera Alley and see all the art. So it's just a tool. For us, I'd say art and culture is definitely a tool that we are using in our toolbox for just like managing things that aren't that great in the city. An example is our Resilient Eureka Window Poetry Program. So if you have a vacant storefront, we bought a bunch of poems on, they're just like these stencils. I have them in my office, these window clings. It's super cheap. We have a poet laureate in Eureka, and he selected a bunch of poems that different poets locally had written about COVID. And so we had it put on these window clings, and then we put them in the windows, and then we pay an artist to come and paint the windows. And it's just like this little bright spot. I definitely think with COVID, we have a lot more vacancies than usual, and it's just a way to put a little sunshine in a dark place. When promoting Eureka, we definitely use art and culture as part of it. Public art installations, performing arts venues, museums. We put it in our alleys with twinkle lights. I would definitely say part of starting at the city in 2015, there's been a huge shift in the perspective about Eureka. It used to be like part of our culture to say really negative things about Eureka. And so I feel like there's been like this, it's like it was so intense, this negativity, that like the pendulum has swung, and like there's all these people that came out saying like, no, I love Eureka. And so like, I love Eureka and I like Eureka is like a big thing here. And I like Eureka stickers on my desk. I mean, it's part of our culture now to be like, yeah, I'm into it. I also want to take a moment to show, so this is, on the left, all the beige, that is a street view from 2012. And on the right is a street view from 2018. And this is 1 block away from our highway. This is like right in the middle of our district. And just like the difference the art makes. And again, it's just paint. It's not like, nothing crazy happened here except for paint. And then there's this art installation in this gravel lot that's really fun. That big beige brown wall. We have a guy in town who has these projectors, and so one night he went and he did like a projection show up on the wall, and it just really got people's attention. And I just love like the before and after of this. I also want to talk, with art, everybody doesn't like the same thing, but there's beauty in that. I love this headline. Everything I need to know about art, I learned from the comments section of the Lost Coast Outpost. So we had a London-based artist come to Eureka, and he painted a mural called Tokyo Lights. And people flipped out. People were not excited about this. It was mixed. But people really thought it should only be about redwood trees. It should only be more pictures of Victorians. It should only be landscapes of our area. And I even love the little thing on the bottom, a foreigner painting something that's not Eureka on a building in Eureka. The reaction was just comical to a point. And at the same time, going back to economic development, all those people that didn't like it still drove down there to look at it, to say they didn't like it, and they probably bought a cup of coffee while they were down there and went into a shop while they were down there. So it doesn't bother me when artwork goes up and not everybody's into it, especially with utility boxes. The utility boxes, and there's so many utility boxes in Eureka that are painted, that everybody has their favorite. Even if they don't like the certain one, there's a different one that they do like. And then I also want to mention, like, once you open that option of artwork, people just take it and run. And these are two of my favorite examples. The lady on the top, you can find her on Instagram. She's called Dynamic Canvas, and she's a makeup artist. And her thing is going and doing makeup that matches murals around Eureka, which is so fun. And then down at the bottom is a tiny door. So it's called the Tiny Door Project. And when I was doing this, Christina and Amanda were like, what is that? And I was like, it's a Tiny Door Project. There's just so much going on at this point that, like, we can't keep up. And I think when we first started doing art stuff, we thought it was all about what we could accomplish, and now it's not at all. It's about, now I feel like I'm trying to get the word out on how you can create a mural or how you can do an art project in your community. Like, once you just create the structure or the guidelines, people will take it and run. And we're all contributing together, and it's a really fun thing that's come out of it. One other thing regarding art and culture, so these are two, this is our county courthouse on the left, and then this is our fire department in Eureka on the right. And both of these murals were painted during the Street Art Festival. And one thing about public art that when this all started that I didn't occur to me, but over time I feel like I see this over and over and over again, is when you have public art out, especially on government buildings, there is so much that you are saying to your community by saying nothing at all. You are saying you are safe. You can be joyful. You can be playful here. You can be colorful. You belong. Brianne talking about her mural yesterday, having that mural up, it says to our Asian community, you belong here, and you are visible here, and we want you here. I'm going to be a nerd here for a second. I used to be in the planning department, and so I was in the planning department when we updated our general plan and when we updated our zoning code. And I could see for Eureka Main Street people to be like, why would you tell me about this? But I do think this is important to have on your radar, because this totally influences what can be developed in your Main Street district. So I want you to look at the two pictures on the right. Eureka didn't have a zoning code before the 1960s. And when we didn't have a zoning code, we had these really unique buildings built. They were tall, they didn't have a lot of parking, and they had a lot of character that's unique to Eureka. In the 60s, we adopted a zoning code that was from the Midwest, and I feel like our highway corridor down on the bottom reflects that. It's like you have these big parking lots in the front and then these low buildings in the back. And we completely got rid of that zoning code. So our zoning code used to be two of these binders. We burned it down, and it is now this. And there is construction happening all over Eureka right now, and it is because the changes in the development standards. People can now build taller, they can do more with their land, and so, I mean, I feel like that's a nerdy thing to bring up, but it really has unfolded, and you can see it changing Eureka. And I think it's just something for you all to have on your radar. If your jurisdiction or city is doing an update to their zoning code, be involved in that. Be involved in the parking requirements. Be involved in you know, first floor retail and all those different things and the design standards. It really does impact your city. I'm going to briefly talk about our programs. I think Christine is going to be presenting on our COVID grants a little bit later, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I do want to talk about the program on the right. If you're thinking about starting a new program, I would recommend trying this. This is a program that has worked really well for us. It's called our Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design Facade Improvement Rebate Program. It's a really long name, but what it is it's basically grants for beautification and security improvements. And the first step of the program is you have to have a site visit. And we have a specific team that comes to the site visits. So it's one of our police captains, it's our chief building official, it's somebody from code enforcement, and then it's our economic development staff. And first of all, it's this great tool. If somebody has a complaint, it's this great tool for your board or your city council to offer. It's like an instant, like, oh, I hear you. I have a solution for you. You should meet with this team. And then this team shows up, which number one, is awesome for that group of humans to all interact with each other and to work really well with each other. But then you show up and you're on their site and they're showing you the issues and you can physically see the people relax and just like getting it out and talking about what they're dealing with. And then our grants are $2,500 for security rebate and $2,500 for beautification. And I have not had anybody just do the minimum yet. They always go in above and beyond. So it's like, I may grant you $2,500 in beautification, but they're spending $15,000. And so it's a program that has worked really well for us. It seems to be really hot, like it received well. Our leadership really likes it. And so if you're looking for a new program, we'd be happy to share all of our documents on that and what works and what hasn't worked. Another thing we're doing that I think is going really well is we have a Business of the Month and a Business of the Year. So every month our Economic Development Commission selects the Business of the Month, and then every year our mayor selects the Business of the Year. And there was not a dry eye in the house with our last Business of the Year recognition. It was the sweetest thing ever. It's a gentleman who's retiring, and then he's transitioning to somebody who's taking over the business. And we have a lot of businesses in Eureka that are in that kind of, people are getting ready to retire and they're making that decision on if they want to do succession planning or if they want to close. And so it was just like this really easy thing that we did that was very touching, and it doesn't require a lot on part of staff, and it really meant a lot to that business owner. We also have community conversation videos that we have on our page on YouTube, where we just go and we talk to different businesses, and they talk about, you know, what they like in Eureka, what's going well for them, why they're here, why they love Eureka. It's really positive. And then in Main Street, we have two newsletters that are new that we're working on. So we have a quarterly newsletter that's going out to all of our merchants and our members. And that's been really fun and been very positive. And then right now we're working on a new promotional newsletter where different businesses can say what promotions they have that week, or we just like put out the first template of it, and so we haven't even released this yet, but we're excited about that and how that will go. Another thing that is going well in Eureka is we have a new city brand, and I just feel like it helps make things look cohesive and makes us look like we have it together, and that might, you know, it just makes us look more polished than you might expect. We also have a new Redwood Skywalk. So this was in the works for a few years, and a lot of fundraising happened, and it's just recently opened, and it's going phenomenally well. We got a Visit California Poppy Award for our campaign for it, which is really exciting. And so our whole community is just very proud and excited about the Redwood Skywalk. We also, out of the blue, have a bunch of cruise ships that want to come here, which we are thrilled about. And we have 5 that have reached out for this year and 3 for next year, and that's new for us. And so we are figuring that out, how to have dock parties and excursions and plaques and all that good stuff. We also, this is exciting, we have this gem of a millwork here. It's called the Blue Locks Millwork. And it's this gentleman named Eric Hollenbach and his wife Viviana and their 2 grown daughters. And he basically has all of the machinery to create like Victorian gingerbread work that you see on Victorians. And he's just like this really charismatic storyteller. And the Magnolia Network has created a show about him called The Craftsman, and it just premiered, and we are incredibly proud and excited to see what that turns into. One of the things that we did during COVID is we've had a hashtag Dine Out Eureka campaign. So the city, if any restaurant had an adjacent city parking lot, they were able to set up outdoor dining in it. And then we also gave out grants to construct parklets. So this is a parklet. The center picture is a parklet. It's basically an outdoor dining space and 1 parking space. It's a really fun thing for it just enlivens your street, right? Like people outdoor dining, mixing up kind of the parking. We have one in Eureka. It's shaped like a boat, and it's like a landmark. People will be like, "Oh, just go down to the boat," or "I'll meet you at the boat." And it's if you want like an idea, a parklet project is a fun thing to do. We also created these table tents and distributed them to all of our different restaurants and did what we could online to help support our restaurants. And then every year we do, for our holidays, we do a Shop Eureka campaign. And so we create like a media kit with different posts that are ready for everybody to go out, and businesses can customize them themselves, or they can all post these. And it's there's like 6 of them that we send out, and it's all about hashtag Shop Eureka, hashtag Choose Humboldt. Choose Humboldt is a regional campaign here that all of the local cities do together, and it's really powerful. One of our grumpiest merchants, who we love, even she had to say, like, the biggest advertising tool she can use is the hashtag Choose Humboldt. I mean, she gets so much business from that, and she was like, that's good, like, good job. So that felt good. And then, we just, Arts Alive is just such like a normal thing for us, but I don't know if everybody realizes it. So every first Saturday night of the month, we have Arts Alive in downtown Eureka, or in Old Town Eureka, and it is just, it's been going for years and years and years. Everyone knows it. Arcata also has one, and it's just like a really beloved tradition. Our December Arts Alive, I went down there. I've never seen it like that before. I would guess there was 10,000 people. I mean, it was just booming, and it was great for our merchants, and it was great for our community, and it just felt so good to be out and enjoying Eureka. And then we have a Friday night market that's coming out. It's going to be July through September. It's every Friday. One thing I really appreciate about the Friday night market is they're very specific in that they go from 5 to 8 p.m. and then they specifically end sharp at 8 p.m. because they want people to disperse and to go into the stores around them and to go into the restaurants around them. And I just want to point out that's Adam Dick, who presented from Dick Taylor yesterday, playing down in the corner. And so that's pretty much it. That is everything that I have for you guys. I have my contact info here, and I would just say, please always think of Eureka as like your friend and your ally, and we would love to talk to any of you about anything, especially Main Street. Amanda is our Main Street person, and she's been doing it for 12 years, but overall it's pretty new to us, and we just want to do the best job we can, and would love to work with anyone. And then all of our sponsors and partners. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Swan. Does anybody have any questions? Comments?
I saw a question from Bettina in downtown Slow in the chat. She asked, did Eureka work with the consultant to develop this plan, or did you author it in-house? I think she was talking about the
Strategic plan.
yeah, or Bettina, if you're able to come on mic, because I know Swan showed us a number of different plans.
I can, both of them were done in-house, and they're both on our city website, and if you just look on economic development on the city of Eureka, we have both of them, and we'd be happy to share anything. If you're thinking about doing that, be happy to chat and tell you about our lessons learned and what works and what hasn't worked, and anything we can do that's helpful for you.
That would be amazing. And our city of San Luis Obispo is looking to update our strategic plan, and they're trying to work with a consultant. They have a bunch of money allocated for it. It would be really great if I could say, hey, maybe you could put that money toward programs instead of a consultant fee.
Yeah, we really did it by doing interviews. So we interviewed like all of our commissioners, all of our city council members, and we started the interviews with like a project list of these are our ideas and goals, and had that structure, and then just like really refined it with each interview, and some focus groups, and taking it to city council and public meetings.
Swan, I have a question. I don't know if you can share this information, but what is the budget that you guys allocated for this branding of the campaign that you guys developed? And what is the ongoing budget going forward?
So do you mean like the Visit Eureka budget? So that was, it's public, it was $370,000. That was something that was originally outsourced to like a regional DMO, and it was pretty controversial. The city decided to pull that funding from that regional DMO and instead do its own RFP. And it's still a touchy topic, I will say that, but I definitely feel like Eureka has gotten a lot. It's very focused on Eureka, and even though it was bumpy at first, I'd say we're a couple years in, and it's really shown to be a good decision, and we're so happy with it. So I would totally recommend that.
You guys are doing a great job. I love the
Yeah,
branding that you guys created, and all the programming behind it was really well thought out, I think. So good job.
Was there another presentation for this session, Amanda?
No, but it
or
looks like
just-
there's another question from Haruni.
Yeah, Eureka does a great job, like really encouraging tourism while generating the revenues, and really fantastic. I might digress from the Main Street program per se, but I wonder how is the city's like business climate around the light industrial development, like including manufacturing. Do you guys focus on that aspect at all? Or are there any areas like that focus on the productions, or well, especially you're on a coast. I wonder if there's like fishing industries or community around that.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that definitely was a big part of the zoning code update, and then also with our economic development strategic plan. You know, one thing in Eureka, we have a lot of outdated office space that isn't ADA accessible, and so that was one thing we really identified is something that we wanted to focus on. we do have a lot of industrial space that's on our waterfront. And so we have, you know, coastal California, it always gets complicated with the Coastal Commission. And so we're working on an update to our zoning code for the coastal part of our city, and that will definitely include a lot of our industrial land and like the development standards there. Is that what you were asking? I don't know that I answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
There's a question in the chat. Any tips on homelessness in downtown districts?
Yeah, we have a homeless action plan in the works. I think, you know, California as a whole has a housing shortage, and it's something that, you know, the houseless population, I think, is something that probably we all interact with, and it affects our downtowns regularly. I will say, we recently did an interview for our Artist of the Year, and he had this great moment where he was like, I can have the same problems I have in Eureka anywhere, but because of the quality of life here, it overshadows those issues. And so, like, I just focus on that quality of life. So, like, we're all dealing with that. I do think COVID has had a big impact in people just not out and about walking around as much. And so I think it'll get better, you know, for our businesses. We definitely talk a lot about replacing inappropriate uses with appropriate uses. And so we had a plaza across from our visitor center that had a lot of inappropriate use happening. And so we really put a lot of effort into replanting the plants and power washing it and programming it and putting in twinkle lights. And we painted the planter boxes bright blue and filled them with beautiful flowers. And I feel like it really made a difference. And our fire department put a memorial in there, and it just, it's just a way to kind of, it's like the broken window theory, right? It's like if people see that it's being cared for and they care, then, you know, they're more respectful of it. One thing I do want to mention about public art is we had a huge issue with graffiti and tagging in Eureka. And for the most part, that doesn't happen with murals or on public art. They respect that it's an artist, and they pretty much leave it alone. So, like, it's a tool for us. Like, we have an overpass that keeps getting tagged, and immediately our code enforcement reached out to me and was like, can you put a mural on this so we don't have to keep cleaning this up? So anyway.
I'd like to mention too that Eureka Main Street, we've always had a really strong relationship with our rescue mission. Like, we can call them anytime and they'll go out and they will clean up anything, or they'll do anything we ask. They're like the favorite big brother. And so, and they love to do service projects with us, and it's really good to have them around, and especially, like, you know, some of them have come directly from the street, so they can interact with the people that are on the street on a more personal level, because they might know them already, and so that can be a helpful tool as well.
Two other things came to mind while Amanda was talking. We do have a trespass letter, so if there's a business that's having an issue with somebody that's continually trying to camp in their alcove or something like that, we have, our police department has a trespass letter, and so you can specifically say this person is not allowed on my property, and so it kind of helps if somebody's having an issue with a specific person to manage that. And then our department also has, like Christine, thank you, Christine, for putting it in the chat. We have homeless outreach workers, and we have our CAPES program. And so we're able to call and say, I can call Jeff Davis and be like, hey, Jeff, we have an issue down here in this parking lot. And he's down there immediately, and they're talking to the folks that are there and offering them services, and they make it part of their route that they check on regularly. it's really all hands on deck to try to help.
Swan, I'm hoping you can talk a little bit more about the Parklet program. It sounds like you guys really launched that in response to COVID and trying to create safer spaces for people to gather, to do outdoor dining, and to, help those restaurants keep their doors open. I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about what your process looked like in terms of creating that Parklet ordinance, whether those businesses were involved, if there's been any updates being made to it. What we've seen in a lot of communities is that cities kind of created ordinance standards and have now since either moved away from the program, or they're making updates to the program that are having impacts on the restaurants that had really utilized the Parklet programs at the beginning. And there's some challenges there with the businesses having to be in compliance with new standards. So just curious to hear a little bit more about how Eureka is managing their Parklet program, and if you guys are looking to make that a permanent program for your restaurants in the area.
Yeah, I'd be thrilled to talk about that. So our Parklet program, it's already a permanent program. It was created, I would guess, 2018, and it was kind of a pilot at the beginning. We had really rigid design criteria, and so when we did it for COVID, we kind of offered two options. We said either you can go forward with a permanent Parklet that complies with this design criteria and use this grant money to go towards that, or you can use this, like we will put in a temporary, very basic Parklet for you, and then when COVID's over, we'll come and remove it. And everyone went for the first option, where they went for the design criteria and they made these really fun Parklets. And I'd say everyone as a whole is just really enjoying the outdoor spaces, and we keep extending how long it can be used for. So I don't see that those going away. I'd say maybe the ones in the city parking lots going away, but as far as the Parklets, those will be there forever. And it's a fun thing that Eureka gets to be known for. Yeah. I will say, having the design criteria, I don't know about where you all are, but for us, parking is definitely a hot topic. And taking away parking spaces for Parklets it's kind of a little touchy. And so having that design criteria and having those Parklets be really unique really softens that blow.
Does anybody have any other questions? Looks like there's another one coming in from Murray.
Something
Robert?
on the Parklet?
Yeah.
Marie, did you have a question? I saw something from Marie about Parklet, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Are there other questions, comments?
How did you get around the insurance issue with the Parklets?
We make the business owners provide insurance, and it goes through our our encroachment permit process. So that's how we manage that. It's just like if somebody has a sidewalk cafe or something like that, and they have an encroachment on the sidewalk, they also need that same kind of insurance level going out to cover their Parklet. And if you want, I can send you all of the information that we have about it, all the language, especially regarding insurance, and so you can see it. Yes, if somebody had an accident, the business would be responsible.
And for the ABC license, if they're serving alcohol, the server has to take it across the sidewalk, right?
Yes.
Are there any more questions? Doesn't look like it. So, thank you, Swan, for sharing all the information about how Eureka's Economic Development Department is helping Main Street and the overall community. Go team.
Yeah, great work in Eureka. Again, another great reason to visit